Hello, and welcome to show number 2338 of Eyes on Success, a weekly program covering a wide variety of topics of interest to people with vision loss. I'm Nancy Torpey.
And I'm Pete Torpey.
So the graffiti is a tactile graphic display which has 2,400 pins arranged in 40 rows and 60 columns. And each pin can rise by as much as 2 millimeters and can be set to different levels. So you can actually get a 3D type of view. And you can use the different heights to represent different attributes such as color or importance or texture, almost anything that you can think of.
And that is just one of the special devices that you can get from today's guest.
Orbit Research carries a wide variety of products suitable for students, professionals, and home use. These range from talking and graphics calculators to multi-line and graphical braille displays to low-vision magnifiers and braille computers. We'll talk with Venkatesh Chari, President and CEO of Orbit Research, about their many offerings. But first, for our tip of the week. This week's tip comes from Venkatesh Chari.
Embrace AI. It's going to do a lot of good things for us, and we really look forward to utilizing it in a variety of ways. Of course, while being cautious, and a lot of the things that you hear about, people worrying about it, are of course very valid. But I think it's going to help us tremendously from being able to provide good technical support on demand to being able to help us develop better products faster.
And if you want to learn more about artificial intelligence and what it can do, in particular, how it can assist people with vision loss, listen to a show we did a couple of weeks ago, number 2335, in which we talked about just that.
Support for Eyes on Success is provided by
Inclusive, an e-learning platform built for the blind community to learn technology, occupational, and career skills to help you reach your employment goals. More information is at www.clusive.io. That's www.clusiv.io.
You are listening to Eyes on Success. Success, 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 success.
Let's meet Venkatesh and learn about the history of Orbit Research and its ever-expanding line of products.
Today's guest has been with us before, but we figured it's about time to hear a refresh on what's happening new at Orbit Research. And Venkatesh, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Pete and Nancy, for having me again. It's a pleasure. My name is Venkatesh Chari. I'm President and CEO at Orbit Research. I'm closely involved on the technical side as well as on the business side of things. I must confess, I enjoy the technical side more than I do the business side.
Give us a quick summary of what Orbit Research does, and then we'll get into some more detail about some of the products and services that you offer.
Sure. So as it happens, this is the 25th year that we've been in business, and it's been an amazing journey. It's been quite a roller coaster, but I would do it again anytime. We started out with a talking scientific calculator. That was our first product. We entered into a relationship with Texas Instruments and adapted their calculators to make them accessible. So that was our first product. Then we expanded our sort of product family, so to speak, to include a graphing calculator, which we did in partnership with APH and Texas Instruments. There's the Orion TI-84 Plus, as well as a multi-line scientific calculator, the Orion TI-30. So that was kind of our calculator family. We also developed the iBill product, which is a money identifier, which is now available through the Department of Treasury to anyone in America that needs one. And about 10 years ago, we started working on tactile technologies. The intention was to actually make a tactile graphic display for our calculator product, the graphic calculator, so that users could view graphs in real time. And so we developed technologies that could be used both in graphic displays as well as in braille displays. Using that technology, we have now developed a line of braille products as well as tactile graphic display products. And most recently, we have just launched a family of magnifier products. So this is our first entry into the low vision field. All of our other products are blindness related products.
Most of our listeners and most of your customers have visual impairments. Do you?
I am sighted.
So, how did you get into this field?
I got into this field mainly because of my background in speech technology. So I got to see the impact that these products had on the daily lives of people who use them. And to me, that was almost magical. The fact that I could do something that was so much fun for me and make such a difference.
It's great to see that you've been so successful and continue to grow.
Thank you.
Eyes on Success is made possible in part by our corporate partners. Underwriting pairs the impact of targeted marketing with the integrity of community goodwill.
Learn more by sending an email to hosts@eyesonsuccess.net.
This week's focus topic is the wide variety of innovative access technology available from Orbit Research.
Well, Venkatesh, in the introduction, you talked about mainly three kinds of product lines. Your talking calculators, your tactile displays, and now your new low vision aids for people. Maybe we can start with the calculators and talk about that and go through each of your product lines.
Sure. So we've over the years we have offered several models of calculators, and as newer models are introduced, we work with Texas Instruments to make the sort of flagship models accessible. So we currently have two models that are on the market. One is a model we call the Orion TI-84 Plus. And this is a fully accessible version of the very popular TI-84 Plus product that is very common in high schools. The functionality of the calculator remains exactly the same as what the standard calculator is, and we add to it speech output as well as braille output and graphic display output. The unit by itself gives speech output, but you can hook it up to one of our braille displays or our graffiti tactile graphic display to produce graphs or give braille output of textual information. But even by itself, it will do sonification of graphs. It has got a full screen reader built into it, so you can explore the screen. You can utilize it fully, but for actual tactile graphic output, you would hook it up to graffiti. And then what probably one of the best things about our calculator products are that they are exactly the same as the standard product from Texas Instruments. So teachers, peers, parents don't need to sort of help the student who's using it with something that is special or different. They work in exactly the same way. So no one needs to sort of learn or train on something special. That's what we feel has made a huge difference in practical use, because they're just so easy, and the users can take advantage of a huge amount of information about tutorials, study guides, etc., that are developed for these products. So in addition to the graphing calculator, we also have our scientific calculator model, which is the Orion TI-30XS Multiview. And this is a 4-line calculator. So it has a history function. You can actually look at previous calculations, and again has a full screen reader, so you can explore whatever is on the screen. Fully accessible. All of our calculators also have what we call a learn mode, where obviously there are a lot of keys and lots of functions. So initially, if you want to learn the functions, or even later if you can't remember what a certain function is, you can enter learn mode, and it'll help you find the right keys. So these are the two calculators that we have currently.
What great tools for students so they can keep at parity with their sighted peers. And as you say, they don't have to learn any new special tools, and there are already lots of tutorials and help available for these commercially available items.
Well, and apparently for professionals as well.
That's exactly right. A lot of these calculators are used, all the way through, college by the students, and in their professional lives as well.
I thought it was neat that you said that your graphing calculator actually hooks up to some of your tactile devices. So that's a good bridge into the next topic of talking about your tactile devices.
The tactile devices came about, from our exploration of the actuator technologies. Of course, graphic displays and braille displays have been around for a while, but they have all depended on piezoelectric technology, which, while it does work pretty well, it is relatively expensive and has some challenges regarding, ruggedness, durability, things like that. So we wanted to develop tactile products that were really, really affordable. And so we set out to develop an actuator technology. And as we were developing this, we came across an organization called the Transforming Braille Group, which was a partnership between about 15 blindness organizations from around the world. And their mission was to find a developer and manufacturer of low-cost Braille devices so that they could be provided to students, especially those in developing countries where Braille access was very, very expensive. And they were very happy with what they saw in our solution, and gave us a contract to develop our first Braille product, which was the Orbit Reader 20.
And what technology does that use instead of the piezoelectric that had been so common?
So we use an electromechanical technology. It's electrically powered, and there's a magnetic mechanism that generates the movement of the pins. And these pins are latched. So when they are raised up, they remain up without having to consume any power. And they're also rigid. So when you press down on them with the finger, they don't go down, they don't squish, unlike the piezo cells, which do have some degree of squishiness. So it is the equivalent of a high contrast text or picture. Similarly, the technology we use in our graphic displays also has similar characteristics, but it is a different technology in that it allows the pin to be set at different heights.
Oh, so you can get some 3D sense of pictures and things that you're trying to show.
Exactly. So that was our first product. Since then, we have introduced an enhanced version of that. That was the philosophy behind the Orbit Reader 20 was to keep it very, very simple. So it originally started as a reader, just a reading device. You would have files stored on an SD card, and you would read from the SD card. But then, as we were developing it, there was a requirement for having an editor as well. So now we have a text and BRF editor. Then there was a requirement for Bluetooth and USB connectivity, so you could hook it up to a computer or a phone using a screen reader. So we supported that as well. And then in 2020, we introduced the Orbit Reader 20 Plus, which is physically almost identical to the Orbit Reader 20, but has some more enhanced software capabilities. So it can do onboard translation, both forward and reverse from text to braille. It has a built-in calendar function and a clock and alarm, as well as a simple four-function calculator as well. So it's a little bit more complete for the student as well as the professional. It offers some simple functions that are useful, but still not making it too complicated. It's not trying to be a full-fledged note taker type of device. So we now have in that family the Orbit Reader 20, the 20 Plus, as well as the Orbit Reader 40, which is a 40-cell device and also has cursor routing buttons. All of these devices have a Perkins-style keyboard as well. And the Orbit Reader 40 also has a USB host port in addition to the SD card slot, so you can plug in flash drives and read off of them.
And now your tactile graphics displays are a bit newer than that. Tell us a little about that.
So we have two models now, one that has been on the market for the past 3 years, which is the Graffiti, and a new one that we announced last year, and we're going to start shipping it this year. It's called the Graffiti Plus. So the Graffiti is a tactile graphic display which has 2,400 pins arranged in 40 rows and 60 columns. And each pin can rise by as much as 2 millimeters and can be set to different levels. So you can actually get a 3D type of view. And you can use the different heights to represent different attributes such as color or importance or texture, almost anything that you can think of. They also have a Braille keypad to enter Braille or to do searches, and also of course for commands for entering into different modes. And they can operate in what we call local mode, where you have files that are loaded onto the SD card or a USB flash drive. You can read image files in a variety of popular formats, display them on the screen, zoom into them, pan. You can edit them. So the entire panel, the surface of the Graffiti is actually a touch panel too. So you can actually draw on it with your finger. And you can save your drawing, or if you're editing an existing picture, you can save that too. And they also operate in what we call connected mode. So it's got a variety of interfaces. It's got Bluetooth and USB, so you can connect it to a phone or a computer using those. It also has an HDMI input port. And what that allows is to use the device as an external monitor for your computer or phone. So just as you would plug in a monitor into your laptop, you can plug in the Graffiti into your laptop, and it replicates your screen. And your PC or your phone just thinks it's an external monitor, but this is a tactile monitor. So it's completely seamless. It's truly plug and play. You don't need any special drivers or software to run it. And it gives you a replica of your computer screen if you're connected to your computer. But you can also connect it to a wide variety of other devices that have HDMI outputs. You could connect it to a microscope or a camera or a telescope, or for that matter, a set-top box. And you will see the graphics that are output in tactile form.
Wow, what a versatile piece of equipment. That's really cool.
Yeah, and the difference between the Graffiti and the Graffiti Plus is that the Graffiti Plus adds a line of 40 Braille cells. So you can have true Braille as well as true graphics at the same time.
What kind of applications would that be used for?
For instance, one of the use cases that it can support is where you have it connected over HDMI to your computer. Let's say you're using a screen reader to view a web page, and the web page has a certain layout. It's got a mix of text and graphics. So your screen reader is going to start reading out or sending out as Braille the textual elements of that page. With the Braille display, you can receive that Braille and you can see that text. But since the Graffiti Plus has, as well as the Graffiti have, a touch interface as well, as you are touching and visualizing the graphic image, the cursor on your computer is also moving with it. And when you tap that, it registers as a mouse click, and your screen reader cursor also moves to that point. So you can read out the text in specific locations while viewing the page in graphic form. And if there's a picture somewhere on the page, you can actually see it in graphic form. If there's alt text behind that picture, your screen reader will, of course, speak that out or send that as Braille as well. So you get a true multimodal interactive experience.
That is a great feature because that's one thing that people miss using a screen reader, the layout of information on the screen and the graphical elements on the screen. I understand you also make a number of multi-line Braille displays. Tell us a little bit about those and some of their features.
We have developed what are the first multi-line, fully refreshable multi-line displays. So we call this the Slate family of multi-line Braille displays. And we have two models. One is the Slate 520, which has 5 lines of 20 cells of Braille. And it's sort of a larger version of the Orbit Reader 20, but with more lines. But with more lines of Braille, you can do a lot of interesting things, such as view tabular data, view spatially organized information, such as matrices or systems of equations in math, or a number line with labels. So it opens up the field for things like STEM subjects, music. And of course, if someone wants to do a lot of reading, now you have multiple lines that you can read on instead of having to scroll one line at a time. So we have two models, as I said, the Slate 520, and then also the Slate 340, which has 3 lines of 40 cells. They are otherwise functionally identical, but with different layouts.
You also have a speech-only product called the Orbit Speak. Tell us a little bit about that device.
The Orbit Speak is the best way to think about it is the modern day version of the Braille and Speak. It's very compact, and it's got good high quality speech output. It's got Braille input. And it is essentially a pocket-sized note taker. You can use it standalone. It's got a built-in book reading functionality, note taking, onboard apps such as calendar, address book, calculator, clock, alarm. You can also, of course, connect it as an input device to a computer. It's got a full Perkins-style keyboard, and we also have a higher or more advanced model of it in physically the same hardware, but with more software features. So that model also includes, for instance, a media player, the ability to read books in multiple formats, such as PDF and Microsoft Word documents. Also the ability to connect to online libraries and things like that. And it's based on a very, very powerful hardware platform with the ability to expand software apps in the future.
In the introduction, you mentioned a new series of products that are for low vision people, a series of magnifiers. Tell us what those products are.
So we've introduced what we call the Orbit Magna products, and we have 3 models, the Magna 3, 4, and 5. And these are handheld digital magnifiers, and they're very similar to what you might already be familiar with. Magnifiers are made by a lot of different companies, and ours are similar in most ways. The focus here is on quality, durability, and affordability. So the Magna 3 is a 3.5-inch model. The Magna 4 is a 4.25-inch model, and the Magna 5 is a 5-inch model. So these are the screen sizes. They are designed for use at close range. So they're simple devices. They don't have like a distance camera or anything. So you would hold it in your hand. The Magna 4 and 5 have handles that can fold out, so you can actually hold them like a magnifying glass, or put them flat on some reading material and use them without the handle folded out. And they have functions such as being able to freeze the picture, being able to obviously magnify it, change contrast modes. We have a good range of different modes that people can try depending on their individual needs. And they allow you to store pictures onto an SD card, connect to a computer, connect to a TV for a larger view. But the most important part is their affordability and their durability.
I also understand that you introduced a new product at CSUN this year that people should be seeing soon. Tell us about that.
So we announced at CSUN this year the Optima. So this is a Braille laptop computer. And this has a full QWERTY keyboard, has a full Windows laptop inside. It is fully upgradable after you buy it, fully configurable before you buy it. And so you can choose the amount of memory, the kind of processor you want, and even the type of Braille cells you want. So we will, of course, have our own Orbit Braille cells, but we'll also offer piezo Braille. For some people, for various reasons, prefer piezo Braille. So this is a product that is still in development, and it'll be available sometime early next year. And we are really, really excited about this because this is intended to be a replacement for Braille note takers. So we will also have software on this that gives a note taker-like experience for people who are transitioning from a note taker or who wish to have a simpler interface. But you can at any point exit out of that into a full Windows experience and use any screen reader of your choice. We will preload it with NVDA, but you can install JAWS or Dolphin Supernova or anything else that you might want.
Well, that is very exciting.
Yes, and we intend to keep it also very affordable, and we intend to price it at a price point lower than what the note takers go for today.
Well, what a great suite of products that can be useful to all kinds of people, from students to professionals and ordinary users at home.
Thanks.
You are listening to Eyes on Success. Success, 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 success.
Now for this week's final item, how to learn more about Orbit Research and their products and how to contact them.
Well, Venkatesh, if people are interested in finding out more about some of the products we discussed, where would you direct them?
So we would ask them to visit our website, that is www.orbitresearch.com. And they can also contact us at sales@orbitresearch.com or by phone on our toll-free line at 888-606-7248. That's 888-606-7248.
Do you also have a social media presence?
We do. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram as Orbit Research, also on Twitter. So yeah, we'd love for you to follow us. We also have a YouTube channel, which has some introductory videos, as well as various tutorials about our products.
You can click on the show notes for episode 2338 if you're looking for any of that contact information and resources at www.eyesonsuccess.net.
That's it for today's show. Next week on Eyes on Success, we'll be talking about improved accessibility of Amazon products. Amazon makes a vast array of products, from smart speakers to reading devices, that incorporate universal design concepts that enable their devices to be usable by and accessible to everyone. We'll talk with Peter Korn, Director of Accessibility for Amazon's Devices and Services business, about these products and what makes them special.
Thanks for joining us this week, and we hope you'll share Eyes on Success with a friend and join us next week.
You've been listening to Eyes on Success, hosted and produced by Nancy Goodman-Torpey and Peter Torpey.
You can access the full archive of previous shows, subscribe to the podcast, and much more by going to our website, www.eyesonsuccess.net. If you have questions about anything you've heard on the show or have suggestions for future shows, send an email to hosts@eyesonsuccess.net.
Thank you for listening and have a nice day.